Welcome to Martini Town. It's, well, this light is okay, all right? Got a nice little May shower going on, and I'd like to talk about subtitles of the mind. We have a friend who comes over to watch movies sometimes, and she's a little hard of hearing, so we put on the subtitles. And have you ever noticed that I find it irresistible? I have to read the subtitles, even though I can hear the dialogue, okay? And I find it a little distracting. It kind of like divides the mind a little bit to, instead of being totally involved in the movie, I'm reading the subtitles. And this also reminds me of the CNN, or the cable news, when you have breaking news, or you have a little ticker tape running across the bottom, and you're involved in the particular visual story, but then you stop and read that ticker tape going over, and I find it distracting in that, almost irritating, but yet it's very compelling to read that. And well, you want to know what the breaking news is. Quite often it's not it's not important, but the idea here is that it divides the mind when you have to read, because this is language, and when you have subtitles to a movie, it's language. But the movie or the news that's going on is visual, and invites you into being completely absorbed by that. So the subtitle kind of like pulls you back out, so you're reading it. And a friend was over here today. Comes over, we talk about how the mind operates. We're interested in that, how our mind operates. And so that idea came up, was that thinking is like the subtitles on a movie. And we tend to quit. Thinking is always going on, but the question is, do you follow it and believe it, or do you just let it go by? Now, if you believe it, if you believe thinking that comes up, you are disengaged from the present moment of now, the whole field, the 360-degree field of presence. And when thinking comes across, the subtitles you see, it gives you it takes you out of the presence of the total scene and gives you a comment on it. Now, where does the comment come from? Who wrote that? Who wrote that copy? And is it true? And it's always, anytime you describe something with words, it's not the total reality. You have a dinner coming, and so you get a menu that describes the dinner. Well, which is the real here, the dinner that comes to you, or the description of it? So the same with the thinking. Thinking is kind of like a comment or a description about what's going on that is breaking news. You should look at this thinking because it's telling you what's real. It's telling you what's going on, you see. And so you read that, and you take your eye off the present moment of what's really here. So thinking is basically going to tell you a story about what's going on, rather than letting you just see what's going on. And the thinking always comes from the past, and it's always from your memory. It's the known, and it's usually habitual. In other words, we think it's new thinking, but thinking is kind of like a tape loop. If you were able to step back and see the mind, the consciousness of the mind, be like that, and across the bottom goes thinking. If you can step back far enough, you might see that the thinking goes in a loop like this and comes up around. So we're just conscious up here of this part here, my conscious mind, and thinking runs across it. We don't see that thinking is a tape loop. So thinking is always going to be a recycling of the same pattern of thinking, the same opinion, but it's always about the new situation. So we get confused and think, oh, this thinking is brand new. This is good stuff. This is breaking news. It's really telling me what's going on. I should listen and believe this thinking. So you get the idea? The thinking is, and we don't see the tape loop because the thinking is always about some new situation that's never happened before. But the thinking, the commenting, the judgments, the opinion, the telling you what's really going on, you see, is a tape loop. But we don't see that. So this whole practice of meditation and mindfulness that I'm seriously involved in is that the practice of meditation and mindfulness makes you see that you have a choice of not to read the subtitles. You can't stop thinking, but you can stop believing it. You can stop even reading. When you read it, you believe it. So you just watch the movie and let the subtitles go by. You just watch the news and let the subtitles go by. You don't read them and go with that, you see. So you go with the reading and it's telling you about yada yada, somebody did this and all that. You forget all about the actual news. You forget all about what's actually going on. You're reading a commentary, which takes you somewhere else, you see. So the whole practice of meditation and mindfulness is basically to show you that thinking is a tape loop and is not real. It can be useful, but if you believe it and spend all of your time lost in thought, or believing your thought, you see, you are disengaging from the presence of life and what's really real, Because thinking will tell you that you've got something to worry about here. There's some worry going on. You should worry. Worry. Some bad's going to happen. But if you just look around your present state, there's nothing going on. The situation is normal. But thinking is telling you, breaking news, situation in danger, situation abnormal. So we forget to look around where everything is normal, and we think everything is abnormal. We think there's a storm coming. We think we've got to get out of here. We've got to fix it. We've got to run, you see. But if we just looked around, there's nothing here, you see. So the situation is normal, but the thinking is always about the abnormal, about something you should worry about, something you should fix, something you got a problem. There's a problem with the future. There's a problem with the past. There's something going on. You should breaking news, you see. But in the present moment, there's nothing going on, you see. So the practice is to learn to discriminate or discern, not discriminate, but discern, see the difference between the present moment, the reality, check everything, I'm okay, and thinking, which is going across breaking news, you see. So the disengagement, and the thinking always comes with a story. Thoughts don't just happen in abstract or alone. They always come with a story about you. The story of me is being told by my thinking. But you look around in your present moment. I look outside and it's got a little May shower. The house is quiet. There's no story here. It's just this. It's just this present moment. There's no story. But if I listen to the thinking, oh my God, there's a big story going on. You know, it's kind of like news. You know, so news delivers information through a story. So you got to have a story of what's going on. It's not just data. It has to come to you in a story. So thinking brings reality to you in a story of you. And that story of you is basically the story that holds you in place in the world. The story of me. I know who I am, I know what I want, I know what I've got a problem with, I know all this stuff, you see. And when the present moment unfolds, I always decipher, I always feed the present moment through my story, through thinking. So thinking feeds the present moment, however peaceful it is, into my consciousness as the story of me. You know, so there's nothing going on. I'm bored, you know, I need something exciting. Well, that's the story of me, you see. The thinking is telling me, yeah, this is boring. Which means that there's nothing valuable here in the present moment to even get my interest. So I need to do something to stimulate my interest, you see. So why did you know that? Well, thinking told me that. So why do we listen to thinking? You know, if we didn't listen to thinking, we would have no worry. We would have no dissatisfaction with the present moment, which is life. We would have no dissatisfaction with life. If we could turn off the subtitles, and you can, if you go to the settings in your movie, you can turn off the subtitles. But it takes a while for the inertia of the subtitles to stop. It's kind of like a big grandfather's clock, and if you stop winding it, it'll gradually stop ticking. Time, you see. So thinking is time. Thinking is all about time. Past things happen, future things happen. So we have this timeline going through our present moment, which is timeless. We're always in the present moment. It's timeless. There's no time here. There is never any time in now, in the present moment, because we're always here. But thinking runs through like a little stream, a ticker tape of time. Thinking is a line of time. Like on Facebook, they call it your timeline, you see. So thinking creates a timeline. And I've got the past things and I've got the future running that. But the present moment is just now. So we're always now living and thinking about time. Unless we see that and make the choice to turn off the subtitles. And so the choice to turn off the subtitles is basically a choice to turn within and get a practice where I can begin to discover where the switch is. I have to find out, I have to get the manual out on where to find out how to turn the subtitles off. My mind didn't come with that. Nobody gave me a manual on how to turn off the subtitles, you see. I have to find it. I have to find and the manual is basically the guides to meditation. It could be Buddhist guides, yoga, a lot of different guides, operating systems, or manuals on how to find the switch that turns off the subtitles to time and thinking. It doesn't mean thinking goes away. It just means that you don't even care about it. You don't even notice it. You don't pay attention to it. You don't believe it. If it has something valuable to say, okay, I'll listen to that. But it's usually creative. It's like, do you have your keys? That's what thinking is for me. Did you turn off the lights? Did you shut the refrigerator? Helpful little things like that. But as far as creating a story of dread and doom, no, nothing. You see, it's all gone. So I'm really free from the tyranny of thinking. Doesn't mean the end of thinking, it just means you're free from the of believing it, of the dread and the worry and the doubts and the confusion and the judgments and the criticism and the fear of being disrespected and all of that stuff, you see. It's just the tape loop. And if we notice it, we could, you know, if you could see the tape loop, the total, you would see that really isn't just a tape loop, but we get deceived because the situation is always different. So we think thinking is new, but it's not. Thinking is always running out. Thinking comes through the mind and it goes down into the past, into the storehouse of memory, picks up another load of memory and comes up through the surface mind. Oh, wow, I got to go with that. And then it goes back down around through the memory, through the pain, through the buried karma, and picks up another load like a flycatcher picking up flies, and it comes up and it comes around, and we say, oh my God, that's really valuable news. I got to go with that, you see. Like that. Isn't that an interesting image? Wouldn't you like to cut that thing? Well, you know, so that's what it's all about, this practice of meditation, where you just practice sitting with an intention to get free from the tyranny of your own thinking. So you sit and your thinking goes through, but you don't go with it. If you do, you remember, oh, breath, go back to your breath, and you leave thinking. And you do breath, breath in, breath out, breath in, breath. And thinking comes by, and you go with the thinking, oh, breath, and you come back, breath, thinking, breath, 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 thinking, you go with it. And after a while, you stay with breath more than you do with thinking. And then when you go into the world, you take that practice with you as mindfulness. Then when thinking comes, then you begin to be mindful of the present moment, and thinking doesn't pull you out of the present moment. Thinking stops pulling you off your seat, out of your center, you see. So it's a practice that takes a long time, but it has to begin now. It can't begin tomorrow. And it only begins when you see the truth in this. It only begins when you say, I'm tired of thinking. I'm tired of living in a thought world. I'm tired of the tyranny of thinking. I'd like to have a peaceful mind. I'd like to have a mind at rest that's creative and fresh and innovative and joyous, you see. Because thinking takes so much energy. Thinking, stressful thinking, worry thinking, just drains our energy. It takes so much energy to maintain this thought machine, you see. And that's why we get stressed out and tired. And we just can't do anything except, have a martini. So thank you for dropping in, and I'll see you in the morning.